All right, what we're going to talk now about is just putting your saddle on your horse and how I maintain my tack, different reasons why I do certain things. This is my pad that I use. It's, I think, 6 feet long. And I like these pads because I can fold them in half like this, okay? And I can use 4 different sides. So I can use this today, I can use this tomorrow, I can fold it over like this, and I can use these sides the next day, okay? And this is like a soft cotton thing. It's not wool. It's like, I've had this forever, and I've got to the point where I just want to see how long it'll last. But I take it and I can hang it over a gate, and I can take the water hose and wash it and let it drip dry overnight. Works good. But I take my pad and I put on my horse like this, okay? This is my saddle here, and I got up early this morning and came down and it was covered with dust. I haven't ridden in a while, and but I did that on purpose. I wanted to show you how to arrange this saddle in a way where in how I condition it to prepare myself to ride. Okay, so this saddle's been sitting here for a while and it's gotten dusty and so on, but it's important for you to just see what we go through before we ride our horse. I take my breast collar like this. I hold my saddle here and here like this, and I hold it on my hip just like I'm holding a baby, okay? Like that. I get everything arranged like that, okay? Come over like this. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to take and drop my rigging like this. And I'm going to make sure that ring's in the middle, okay? My latigo. Now, before we get any further, I'll show you. I oil all my tack with olive oil. Go down to the hardware store and get you a little oil can like that, like Grandpa used to have, okay? And go down to Walmart or the grocery store and get the cheap olive oil. Don't get the expensive olive oil. Get the light olive oil. And I oil all my tack with olive oil. Well, these areas right here are very sacred. I mean, these are high stress areas. So I take that oil and I oil my latigo like this, okay? And I bring my oiler like this. Okay. And then if you keep this oiled, it'll be strong as iron, okay? But if you don't, this thing will get brittle. And so I'm going to come like this, and I'm going to oil this thoroughly. I'm going to keep it oiled, okay? Okay. Like this. And I'm just going to snug that, just enough to hold the saddle on there. I'm not going to pull it tight. But notice when I oil that, how smoothly and nicely that thing works. Okay? And see now, what I've noticed, Petey's gained a little weight. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to lower this side just a little bit. Okay? Well, maybe I'm not. It was twisted. Okay, so I'm going to come like this, come back. So I have things already adjusted to where I know how things are going to fit. And I take my tail of my latigo and I store it just like that, okay? And I come like this, I get my oil can, and I oil these spots. I take and I make sure that's nicely oiled, nice and limber, okay? And what I found is the best place to oil your saddle is right on your horse's back. That's the best place. And I take that oil and I make sure all these spots right here are nice and soft. And I bring my back girth up. I tighten that where I can just get my hand under it, just like that. And then what I do is I take my oil can and I get up in here. And some of these spots, see here where it wears? Look what nice shape my saddle's in. It's got a lot of miles on it. It's in good shape. Get up in here like this, and then I oil all this in here. When you sit in your saddle, you should be as comfortable as standing on the ground. Okay? I take and I put oil down in here. And I oil all this area. See here? Up in there. And I put it on my hand, and then I rub it on the bottom side here, because I don't want to get a lot of oil in the seat, because it'll get with the back of my pants will turn dark. Okay? But then just take this and squirt up in here. And I've got a rule of thumb. If you get on your saddle and it squeaks and the leather's squeaking up under you, that's inappropriate. Your saddle should not squeak. This saddle should be supple. This leather should be supple, okay? So if you got a little area that's squeaking, you take this and you stick it up in there. Get up in there and get a little of that oil up in there. It won't hurt it a bit. And I take the oil and I come around these edges like that. It's like oiling machinery, okay? Okay. I get my breast collar. Come around. I got a snap on mine. I just come like this. That. Come like this. And see, that's dirty, but it's supple. You know, it's soft. It's not dry. And if it's dry, I just take this and I just squirt a little bit on that. I squirt a little bit in my snap. Okay. Make sure that's nice and limber. Just snap it up under there like this. Okay. Now if I come over here, okay. Go over, Petey. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Always oil right here on this off billet. Get your little oil and stick down in there, because right there is a stress point. Big problem right there. And you got to watch. Okay. Then I take my oil and I put in here and I oil this all up in here and I squirt oil down in there. And what you'll find is if you use olive oil to do this with, you're not going to get any mold. This saddle had been here quite a while, hadn't been used, and it was dusty. Had a little mold on it, but the mold that was on it was from when somebody had used saddle oil. The saddle oil you buy that they sell these days, I don't know what they put in it, but it molds like crazy. So we found that olive oil on this makes it so soft and supple, and this leather will last for years and years and years. See, and I take here, a little here, get up under here like I did on the other side. And, you know, and it's okay to do this once a week. You can't really put too much oil on it, okay? Here's a stress point. This thing will break after time and gets dry. So I always make sure I put some oil on that. So I tied my straps up there. They're not in the road. Then here I've got a little all-purpose tool that you get in trouble somewhere, like a little Leatherman. I can't get it out, but a little Leatherman tool that I carry along. One time a horse got his foot caught in the wire, and thank goodness Monroe had his Leatherman along, and we snipped that wire, or that horse would have probably had a big problem that day. So since then I always try to carry one of these with me. And I've got it tied with a little leather link there, where if it gets caught, it'll just tear off. Another thing you can do, you can get a little thing to carry a bottled water right here. I've got one of those I put on sometimes. But, you know, just take your oiler and go around all these spots and buckles and just oil it right on his back. It doesn't hurt a thing. You know, I take this olive oil and I just take it and squirt it down his mane like this, okay? Rub it in his mane. That's the best hair conditioner you can get. Now he'll look a little greasy for a day or two, but I'll tell you this, if you do that right, you know, like here on his tail, when I'm brushing him, sometimes I'll take this olive oil and I'll just squirt it on the dock of his tail there and squirt it in his tail and just rub it in like that. Well, you take in about 3 or 4 days or a week, that'll just be like silk, okay? That hydrates that follicle, that hair, as good as anything I know of. Does a good job. And another thing about the olive oil, if you've got a cut on your horse, just take that olive oil and put it on that cut and rub it in. And normally if you use olive oil on a cut, it won't scar and it won't be white when the hair grows back. Not all the time, but usually that's how it works. Okay. So if you look at this saddle, okay, this is a saddle that needs oiled. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we'll go over this saddle. And the reason it needs oil is it just got so dirty. What we did is we put it in the wash rack and got our foamer, and we washed this saddle with the foamer, just the same foamer we used to wash the horses with. So it kind of strips some of the oil out of it, but you got to do that every now and then because the oil builds up and the saddle gets dirty. So you got to clean it about once a year, about twice a year. But we'll take this saddle now and we'll oil it up, and it'll be just as supple as this one. These are my 2 saddles. They're identical just about, and I like them. I can't tell the difference on either one of them when I'm sitting in them. But okay, so now what I want to show you, how much time we got? Okay. When this saddle's fit correctly, all right, what I want to see here is I want to see the height of his wither right here, the height of this seat level, and that hip. See how that's all about the same level right there? You know what that is? Now, what'll happen is sometimes people will bring saddles in here and they gave all this expensive money for this fancy saddle, and it's got all this tooling in it, and it's got fancy inlaid seat and all. These saddles are not show saddles. They're work saddles. They're using saddles. They're made to work off of. A show saddle, a lot of times that seat will sit up maybe an inch taller. Okay, it's got all that cushion and it's got pads in it and different things. Or the saddles are just not made correctly, where if you have to get on your horse and hunt for balance, you're not on the right track. You should get up there and feel like you're standing on the ground. You shouldn't have to hunt for balance. So the first thing I always look for is I want that level to be the same right there. Okay. And as I step back, Brandon, and just look at that at a distance. Notice how that seat level and his withers and his hip are the same level. Okay. And that's a good way to look at it. You don't need a European saddle fitter, and you don't need to spend a fortune on a saddle. But what you do need is you need a good tree in it. It needs to be good quality leather, and it needs to be balanced. You know, notice how your feet are going to be right up under you. Notice how that stirrup hangs there properly. Okay, I use a 3-inch stirrup for a reason. I want my foot to have a solid foundation under it. You know, if I have a narrow stirrup, my back hurts, my neck hurts. It doesn't support me properly. If you ride all day, this will keep you from getting sore. It's like you're standing on the ground. You got a firm placement under your feet. We like aluminum stirrups because you can get your feet in and out very, very comfortably. And I will tell you, if you put your foot in a stirrup and you take it out and something drags and you can't get your feet out of the stirrup quickly or comfortably or easily, don't do it. Don't do it, because the least little thing that happens, and if that thing drags your foot as it comes out, as you say, if you get thrown and you come off that horse and that stirrup stays with your foot, like wooden stirrups are famous for that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because if your foot stays in that stirrup and you have a catastrophe on your hands, that can work out to your disadvantage in a hurry. So I've yet to see one of these stick on somebody's feet, and that's what that's weighted for. You know, it hangs there, and when you come out, your foot just pulls right out of that stirrup so conveniently. And when I step over my horse, my foot just slides right in that stirrup. Very nice.